Walk back. Step back in the present moment. And then see, okay, what's going to let me know that I'm on the way? Whichever foot you like to go, okay? Yeah. Getting off on the right foot, you know? Okay. So, you set this up with your partner. You got the present state. Have them look to where the goal is. Now, if you want, I can do a demonstration of this.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, come on up. Bring your picture.
Oh, bring my picture. Okay. Okay.
All right. So, we'll have you put the present right here. The other way. All right. I'll go into the future here. Turn around. Turn around. There you go. Now.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So, where is this?
Out in the future.
Tell me where. Tell me when.
Not so far out. Right about there. Mm-hmm. Not so unachievable. No, that's fine.
Now, this is a little lesson about submodalities that we get into advanced programs. You think you have to learn submodalities. People know their submodalities. Some people have a real problem with this submodality. Watch.
I don't like that.
Yeah. You can tell who the picture straighteners are. Now, you can have a little fun, but then you stop, because what you want to do is get at her distance or his distance away, right? And then what you want to do is you can come out to this future.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter, walk out to whatever, and I want you to get into that, all the way in. You're right in there with it, yeah? Mm-hmm. And be with that future. Mm-hmm. And what do you see, what do you hear, and what do you feel as you are now experiencing that fully and completely? And breathing is not optional in this process. There you go. And as you enjoy knowing you have all these new skills and resources and that they are yours, allow me to invite you to look back from this moment, back to that place in Winter Park, and see how you got here. And Judy, she's doing it in her mind's eye. Others of you might do what I did and actually turn around and look at it, whatever works for you. And when you have a sense of that, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5 incidents, or even more that fill in that space, then allow me to invite you, and I'll take hold of your picture, for you to step out of this future moment and become an observer on it. And you would exhale and step off to the side. Either side is fine. Exhaling. And you want to look over. Are you an observer? And if not, take another step back. Mm-hmm. Okay, good. All right, because you want the person now to become an observer to their experience. This, by the way, is programming it from another point of view. You've got it in the present. You want to be the observer. Now, what I invite you to do is to look back on those steps and see how you got back to that present moment.
Look back in the back steps.
Well, look from here, this is where the goal is, and look at those steps as an observer now. So you're getting another perspective on how it is you got to that moment. Mm-hmm. And when you're ready, step back into that present moment.
Okay.
And from that present moment, what's the next step? What is something that you can do today that will let you know that you're on your way to this goal, to this outcome?
Okay.
Okay. And it might be something you do in exercise. It might be a note you put in your day timer for when you get back. You might even leave a message for yourself back in your hometown. There's any number of ways that you can signal yourself that, okay, we're doing this. We're on the path. And what that does is that connects the present to the next moment of this path. You get that? This is an important step as well. All right?
Yeah, it's getting Gary's computer.
We didn't need to know that, but you can share or not share as much content as you want because you see it's the process that counts. All right. Mm-hmm. Well, since it's inevitable now you're going to get this, why don't you take it with you?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right. So, with that, back to your groups and into the future. So back from the future. And Comments, observations, reactions? The future looks good. It feels good. It's out there. All right. Brent.
It's kind of amazing how those steps just pop up.
It is. It is amazing. And as I say, it works on the idea the brain goes, well, if I look back on how I got here, it's already obvious, So you do this in the future, it goes, well, I guess I got here somewhere. There it is. So, yeah. Any other comments, observations, reactions to the exercise? All right, so now I have to tell the NASA story, going to the moon. So long ago.
I remember that.
Yeah, just after dinosaurs roamed the earth, we went to the moon.
Dark Ages stuff.
Yeah. Well, the deal about going to the moon that we want to focus on is this, is they were where they were supposed to be. We're talking about they're leaving the earth. And they're going to this object going at high speed called the moon. You want to get there, right? And they are where they're supposed to be how much of the time?
They are where they're supposed to
They are where they are supposed to be.
70%?
Every moment.
What's it?
Because they're being monitored.
No, it should be on.
They are where they're supposed to be 3% of the time. 97% of the time, they're a little off or a lot off from where they're supposed to be.
Really?
There's a lesson in this. The idea of going for a goal is the idea that you've got a direction, not that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. The idea is, do you have direction? Do you have trajectory? In other words, you're on the way to the goal and you get a little off track, and the point is that you bring yourself back on track. At least that's the point I'm taking from that story at this point. Is that we humans do this funny thing where we think if we're not right where we're supposed to be, then we're in the wrong place. Now, pulling a souffle out of the oven, yes, you better be there on the moment. But there's a whole lot of other things in life where there's a lot more play. And in fact, being off course can let you know to be on course. You ever been driving down a road and you just kind of get tired and you daydream and then you hit a speed bump? Wakes you right up. In a sense, when we get off course, when the world catches it, in some sense, for a few of us, it reminds us to pay attention. So you want to be careful about how you're evaluating your journey on the way. Remember, you can get to the moon and back and not be in the right place at the right time as long as you're going in the right direction and you're making course corrections. Yeah, it's a pretty significant learning, and I don't know that the metaphor does it, but it's a beginning. I'll also tell you this, that most of you will not get the goal that you made the picture of. Well, I probably shouldn't have told you that.
3% only will get.
No, not about that, Amal. What I'm talking about is that what happens is on the way to the goal, you have additional learnings. You have additional experiences. You don't think about it, but you start to revise that goal. Maybe it gets better. It's the idea that the goals are a way of directing your attention. Keep in mind that if some of these people in Silicon Valley had gotten exactly what they wanted, they'd be running a $100 million company. If you know what the public offering for Google is, then you get the idea how much bigger it can be. That's only a monetary example. It's the same kind of thing. It's like you're going along in life and you think you're developing this skill, and then you realize, wow, this applies to interacting with my family. Or, wow, I'm thinking in a new way that I didn't even know to anticipate. And so your goals revise and they get richer. And that's the way it ought to be, because it's dynamic. The other thing I want to point out about these steps along the way comes again from my experience in the finance area, is that I worked with guys and gal, that's what we say, ladies, we'd say gentlemen and lady, typical finance seminar, it's true. And we had a plan. A colleague and I had a plan. What we were going to do is do a seminar on how to make lots of money. Only then we were going to covertly teach relationship strategies. And then we were going to do a relationship seminar and then covertly teach finance strategies. We thought this is... Because people tend to want to go for what they know to develop rather than developing something completely different. We'll be getting to that. The thing about that I noticed about the people who were in the finance, who were young traders going for the gold, going for the $1 million, is they would make that the measure. And by that, they would end up whipping themselves and forcing themselves and very often burning themselves out because they didn't see that some of those places along the path could be rewards. Those could be milestones, if you will. Markers. We have, for those not from this country, we have markers that let you know the mile you pass, a kilometer, perhaps in your country. There's things along the way. So in the trading business, learning to run the computer, learning the process of placing orders, mastering your technique. I mean, there's ways you can go, yeah, I did that. And in the same way, on the way to your goal, that first thing you're doing today, yeah, you're doing something. Feel good about that. And there are other places where you can go, yeah, I've got this piece of it, or I've got a handle on this. And so you reward yourself, and it becomes easier. The idea when we set goals is not to set one big goal. You want to set near-term goals, because this encourages a person to continue to set goals. You want to set some medium-term goals, because then there's different levels of reward. It keeps you going.
So like if you have a long-term goal, very big, chunk it smaller, and get the...
Find some natural milestones or some natural, yeah. I hate the word mini goal. It's not a word. But find some places along the way where you've actually got a bit of it. You're like, I got that part. So what we've done here is we set up a present state and desired state space. The explorer went into the desired state, experienced it fully, looked back either in the mind's eye or physically in the mind's eye, because of course there's nothing there, it's all in the mind's eye, and found how they'd gotten from the desired state to the present state. The explorer then dissociated, that is, became an observer on the experience, and viewed that path, saw those steps. Explorer steps into the first step, what's going to make a difference, get them on the path, determines that first step to be completed today. You could also see this as an elaborate form of future pacing. Future pacing is you see yourself doing something. You see yourself doing a lot of somethings here. So the next thing, in terms of Diltz's idea that we have a present state, we have a desired state, and to get from one to the other, you want resources. Now, I haven't written the word in there till now because most people think of resources as states. That you want a state of go for it, a state of curiosity, a state of confidence, a state of excitement. You want to be in a state of competence in your skill and bring all that skill to it. That is correct. And I would suggest that the ability to look back and have those steps appear is also a resource. And it just doesn't have the flair of the resource state, but it is part of programming your brain, organizing yourself to get where you want to go in life. So now we do want to go to that more traditional meaning of resources. That is, and here's the question I would suggest you ask, what's between your present state and your desired state? As in, not what stops you. What's between? Now, right now, you know what's between is all these steps. Yeah? Now, some of those steps, you might not know something about. You might want more resources in those steps. And some of those steps might actually be something that stops you. Yeah? We're not going to that yet. What we want to go to is the idea that what's between where you are now and your desired state. Judy, come on back up. I so graciously volunteered you, so bring your picture. Okay, and we're going to...
Okay.
Okay, so, got it in the right place there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make me move the picture, you don't move your head.